What's good, YouTube? And welcome to the house. There's a man who famously once said, just buy the singles. And for the most part, and towards his targeted audience, and I think most of YouTube, he's right. Whenever you're looking at products and their cost for price point, only getting 2 secret rares per pack versus you maybe wanting to build your deck and chase after that, the average consumer probably should be buying the singles, of course, using that TCG player link in the description down below, costing you nothing extra to support the channel directly for the cards you'd already be buying. But why are we seeing YouTuber after YouTuber all the way up to Moist Critical buying masses of boxes? Like at the beginning of this video, I think he's at like 24 freaking stacks of boxes here. Oh, it's his addiction, right? Well, the hunt for this overall versus advertisement revenue of over 1 million views, and then, you know, him only taking around the $150 L to pull these two, he's doing okay for himself, probably. But with all this attention towards masses of sealed boxes and chasing after, and then I see this guy doing it and he's doing pretty well, what's going on? The answer may actually be to buy the sealed in certain situations when you take risk assessment into consideration. Look at Phantom Rage. Here you can get it for less than $60 a box using code WhatsGood5 over at YBM to support the channel and help yourself out, but you can of course shop other places and probably still get it around $60 a box, although we're pretty late in the game, so there's not a lot of places with that opportunity left. When you look at Phantom Rage though, what are their starlights? Is it going to be the big beast boy replacing the Pankratops? Is it going to be a Mecha Gundam? What Tri-Brigade could end up? Is it going to be the waifu? What will be the import starlight? Your educated guessing is as good as mine. In fact, when it came to Rise of the Duelist, which is doing amazing even as sealed, it's almost 110 a box right now. The cases are through the roof. You could be reselling this sealed to make the money, and it is an exception to the rules. So this looking oh so yummy and scrumptious and price, it's not going to translate over to every single set. You're not going to have 2 very generic spells, top heavy in the set, followed by a deck that everybody wants in every set. Konami's creation has been very good this year, but we'll get into other sets in a bit. We thought Noble Knights would be an expensive deck. We thought Noble Knights would get a Starlight rare. There's one Noble Knight card on this entire front page, and it's around the $5 price point, and then the rest of the deck, the past cards went up and the new cards are relatively cheap. You have Starlights getting also a decent throughout look, and you have the $500 chase card. The import is hanging around $300. You do have one miss, but as long as 3 to 4 Starlights are relative home runs or at least double base hits, yeah, they're going to be and help this product throughout. And why is that? When you're opening by the caseload, you are naturally going to come across Starlights by the percentages. Out of every 2 cases, there's 1 Starlight. So if you're buying just 1 case, you are gambling on that 50-50 and then which Starlight you're going to get. But if you get 1, that's basically your case back almost, or half off of your case depending on which one you get. And 3 out of these 5 will get you about half back on your case. That's very impressive. The same can be said for Eternity Code. They did a pretty good spread. Effect Veiler now rising up even further, almost giving you your full case back on original prices. And the thing is, when you're not a store, you're able to sit there on your cards and make calls and decide, do I want to gamble on this going up over time? You don't have employees to pay bills like electricity. If you are doing proper bankroll management, you should only be spending, I would think, around 10 to 15% of your bankroll on any given set. And when I say bankroll, this should be money set aside that has nothing to do with your living expenses, your day-to-day, your future plans. This is for investing or doing stuff with, and that's not always best put into Yu-Gi-Oh, but this year, sealed product has been very amazing. And why are people buying by the caseload again? Well, when you bust all of these, you get a ton of the singles, which now you can't even get a playset of every secret rare by the ratios out of a single case. Well, you're digging in, getting all the high-priced cards, and then getting that gamble towards the coin flip or better, depending on how many cases you're getting on these Starlight rares for the rebate within the product. And then the singular card, if you get the Effect Veiler, wow, one of those cases was basically free, and I have all these cards raked on in. iGas is a different example. It went up because of Lightning Storm. Lightning Storm has fluctuated multiple times, but the boxes got so ripped open for it. You only have this one chase card for the most part, and the set is very thirsty for value, yet it still went up. It seems like Starlights are changing the future course of sets that have pretty much anything good in them to rip open besides the Starlight. We look to Chaos Impact, Rising Rampage. They didn't do the hottest overall, but man, so many boxes now are flexing and racing up towards that $100 price point that you start to get the feel, I could maybe even sit on these. Let me stop you there and tell you, it's not the worst idea in the world, but first off, you have to hit the set right to where it's going to get up there to be worth shipping out versus fees, versus shipping on something bulkier than singles, tracking, dealing with customers who are going to complain about the condition of the box they get in, mayhaps even. So customer service aside, if everything goes right, how long did your product have to sit there to reach that price? Rise? Not long at all. Eternity Code passed 75, I think, like a couple of weeks ago, and is now trending upward pretty well. After the ban list, people started grabbing Animador, Archosaur, and the Gearsu got grabbed up a bit. Dragon Maid got grabbed up a bit. They've settled down. Link Cross went up. Your estimated value pulled went up, and people started buying boxes again for the chase on the Starlights. That did drive the price up, but how long did that take versus your money sitting there? You could be spending that money on cards that would likely go up at a better rate, or investing in other things that would have a better rate of return than waiting, and now versus the $60 you spent in fees and shipping and all that, how well are you really doing versus these like $100 boxes that look way better on that? Now, I did also want to talk about another set I suggested earlier in the year, and that's Legendary Duelist Rage of Ra. Right now, it doesn't look like it's doing too hot, and a lot of people are questioning their investment on it. I want to say, with the Winged Dragon of Ra Ghost Rare being the first one, and us now knowing that it's one per case, the better investment does seem to be that Ghost Rare Ra would be what you want to grab. Whenever there are cards that are like one per every 2 cases and there's multiple instead of just one to focus, they do way better because of the scarcity created naturally. Like Valor here is 1 out of every 10 cases because you only get a Starlight out of 1 out of every 2 cases, and then you see all these different ones. So like this is 1 out of 2, this is 1 out of 2, this is 1 out of 2. Fact Valor's only going to be in 1 out of every 10 freaking cases, where you're looking at this card, and we now know the ratio is 1 out of every case, and then it can come factory scratched up. You're hoping that it comes out well. You have a ton of vendors selling this as near mint. There's going to be a rush for this card at some point, and I think the flashpoint will be when we find out what the next Ghost Rare God card is. The moment that's announced, I think there goes a lot of the market on this card. And with that, I think you will see the sealed product also rise. And when we look at past Legendary Duelist, while this is more of a Duelist pack than Legendary Duelist, it was even rebranded in the OCG. It only has 3 characters instead of 5 in it. I still think when you look at how successful almost every single one was, with Sisters of the Rose being the least successful and having a flashpoint where you could have sold it sealed for a profit as well, I think it's destined to go up, with the chase card even being as easier as it is to get than most Starlights. It's a God card. It sets itself aside as a collectible. We hadn't had Ghost Rares in how long? 5 years, 7 years? I don't even know. It's been a long time. And then this is pretty much part of the course. People are like, oh, God Slime's so cheap compared to what it could be. Ancient Champ's so cheap. Look, whenever you had Legendary Duelists start out, what happened with those cards? It took a while for them to go up. It's not going to be an immediate investment that you just make your money back on when it's in your hand. You've got to choose these factors. Rip it open, well, you're probably taking an L with short prints still being in these side sets, and then 1 per case, and it could be scratched up, versus sitting on it like a little egg and thinking, okay, how long is it going to take these prices? That's why I'm always telling you, be careful with your bankroll, decide where you could put your money versus other sets, and I certainly did think this was a better call than the Dragons of Legend set this year, which I think that will pan out to be very true, and you've got to consider timing in the future. How long could you be waiting till the news of a Ghost Rare Obelisk? Will that even come? Or Slifer? Will they be there? I think so. I don't think they're going to leave Ghost Rare Winged Dragon of Ra all by itself. They tend to like to sell stuff out like that and do that, but It could be a year. It could be 2 years. You could be waiting a very long time, but the sure thing is the first edition will hold, and knowing the ratio, this became the better investment. This still isn't a bad one, because once this skyrockets, / if it does skyrocket, this will go up as well. So do consider all these factors. What is your bankroll? Can you afford to be going in on cases with that bankroll? Probably not for everybody. The people doing so are able to make the risk assessment versus Starlights, and trying to get money back on singles is why they go in the way they do, and they can trade excess cards, sell excess cards, and get rebates through that method. That is where they're winning. And it's not going to be for everybody. For a lot of people's cases, you trade, you grind tournaments, you get extra cards, you sell them, you get the cards you need for this hobby. It's the rich keep getting richer kind of problem, yes, but that's what the game has become when you don't even have the chance to pull a secret rare of every single card, like a playset of these secret rares within a single case of 12 boxes. It's mathematically impossible unless you got factory errors. Thank you for watching today's video. What do you think of the constant argument of sealed versus the singles? Definitely those able to do it on a higher level do get rewarded, and there's other factors when it comes to like YouTubers doing this stuff, advertisement revenue, that kind of thing, and you know, providing content, and honestly just feeding their own addiction in the chase. It's so fun to open packs, and it's cool to get to do what you love for a job as a living. I get to talk Yu-Gi-Oh! For a living. I'm not constantly ripping open these packs and like, yeah, see, you could have made money. It's RNG. There's still a luck factor to it, even with these chase cards. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the more in-depth conversations and more kind of picking around different terminologies in the market and approaches that people could have depending on, I guess, their livelihoods. But I do think Simo has a point. For the average consumer, buy the singles. For the person that can go in further, start assessing the risks and decide if it's for you. Never blindly go in on that.